Ever wondered if a single tragedy could reshape an entire industry? Can one person's untimely death create waves that forever change how things work in Hollywood? The glittering world of entertainment often hides dark corners where safety takes a backseat to spectacle, where traditions resist change until something unthinkable happens. Number 7. Brandon Lee, The Crow's Fatal Day. Did you know a movie prop gun killed Bruce Lee's son? On March 31, 1993, 28-year-old Brandon Lee was filming a scene for The Crow when what should have been a harmless blank round became lethal. The gun fired at him contained a fragment of a dummy bullet that had been lodged in the barrel from a previous scene. The force of the blank propelled this fragment into Brandon's abdomen, causing fatal injuries. The accident happened during the filming of a scene where his character was supposed to be shot by thugs. The production team had created dummy rounds by removing the powder from real bullets but leaving the primer intact. During an earlier scene when these dummy rounds were fired, the primer provided enough force to push the bullet out of the casing and into the barrel, creating what's known in firearm terminology as a squib load. No one noticed this malfunction. Later, when blanks were loaded into the same gun for the fateful scene with Lee, the blank's explosive force propelled the lodged bullet toward him with nearly the same force as a live round. The tragedy sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Brandon Lee, poised to break out as a major star, lost his life due to a preventable accident. His death prompted immediate changes to firearm safety protocols on film sets. Productions began implementing more rigorous inspection procedures for any weapons used during filming. Many studios started requiring a dedicated armorer or weapons specialist to be present during any scenes involving firearms, regardless of whether they contained blanks or dummy rounds. The Screen Actors Guild pushed for new safety bulletins specifically addressing the dangers of blank ammunition. Film productions began using more rubber or non-firing replica guns whenever possible. When actual blank-firing weapons were necessary, new protocols required multiple checks before each use. The tragic irony that Brandon died while filming a scene where his character gained supernatural life after being murdered wasn't lost on the film community or his fans. The Crow was ultimately completed using digital effects and stand-ins, becoming both a critical and commercial success. It stands as a dark memorial to what happens when safety precautions fail. Brandon's death continues to be referenced whenever discussions of on-set safety arise, a sobering reminder that even simulated violence requires extreme caution. Number 6. Vic Morrow and Child Actors, Twilight Zone's Darkest Hour. Can a helicopter crash during a movie shoot change child labor laws forever? On July 23, 1982, veteran actor Vic Morrow and two child actors, Micah Dinla, age 7, and Renee Shin-Yi Chen, age 6, lost their lives in a horrific accident while filming Twilight Zone, the movie. The scene required Morrow to carry the children across a river while being pursued by a helicopter during a Vietnam War sequence. In a catastrophic turn of events, pyrotechnic explosions damaged the helicopter's tail rotor, causing it to spin out of control and crash directly onto the actors. The accident occurred around 2:30 a.m. at Indian Dunes Park near Santa Clarita, California. Director John Landis had planned an elaborate escape scene featuring explosions as the helicopter pursued the actors. When the special effects explosions detonated, they were more powerful than anticipated. The pilot, unable to maintain control of the damaged helicopter, crashed into the actors below. The tragedy was made worse by the fact that the two child actors were working illegally, having been hired without proper permits and working outside legal hours for minors. The aftermath was unprecedented in Hollywood history. It marked the first time a director and several crew members faced criminal charges for deaths occurring during a production. Landis and 4 others were charged with involuntary manslaughter, though they were ultimately acquitted after a controversial 9-month trial. The legal proceedings revealed disturbing details about how safety had been compromised and how California's child labor laws had been circumvented to get the night shoot completed. This tragedy catalyzed sweeping reforms in how Hollywood handled safety, particularly regarding special effects, aircraft, and child actors. The California legislature tightened child labor laws for the entertainment industry, creating some of the most comprehensive protections for child performers in the world. New regulations specified working hours, educational requirements, and mandatory presence of teachers and welfare workers on sets with minors. The Screen Actors Guild and other industry organizations developed stricter safety guidelines for sequences involving special effects, especially when combined with aircraft. The accident also led to the creation of better communication protocols between special effects teams, aircraft operators, and performers. The ripple effects of these changes extended beyond California, influencing how productions operated worldwide when it came to potentially dangerous stunts and the treatment of child actors. Number 5. Sarah Jones, train tragedy changes set safety. Have you heard about the camera assistant who lost her life on train tracks for a film that never finished? On February 20, 2014, 27-year-old camera assistant Sarah Jones was killed during the filming of Midnight Rider, a biographical film about musician Greg Allman. The crew was setting up for a dream sequence on active railroad tracks on a trestle bridge over the Altamaha River in Wayne County, Georgia. Without proper permits or permission from the railroad company, the production placed a metal hospital bed on the tracks for a scene. When a freight train unexpectedly appeared, the crew had less than a minute to evacuate the narrow bridge. With limited space to run and nowhere to go except into the water below, Jones couldn't escape in time. She was struck by the train and killed instantly. 6 other crew members were injured, some seriously. The production had been told they could not film on the tracks but proceeded anyway, with tragic consequences. The investigation revealed a pattern of negligence and corner cutting by the production. They had been denied permission to film on the tracks by CSX Transportation, but decided to proceed with a steal-the-shot mentality industry slang for filming without permits. The crew had been told they would have plenty of time to clear the tracks if a train appeared, but this proved catastrophically wrong. They had also been misled about the frequency of train traffic on that route. The aftermath transformed how productions approach location safety. Director Randall Miller became the first filmmaker in Hollywood history to be jailed for an on-set fatality, serving a year in prison after pleading guilty to involuntary manslaughter and criminal trespass. The case established a powerful precedent about who bears responsibility when safety protocols are ignored. Sarah's death sparked the creation of the Safety for Sarah movement and the hashtag Slates for Sarah, which saw production crews around the world writing Sarah's name on their film slates as a memorial and reminder about safety. The movement grew into a powerful industry force advocating for reasonable working hours and safer conditions on all productions. The incident led to concrete changes in industry practices. Many productions now include a Sarah Jones safety bulletin at the beginning of each production day. Film schools incorporated more rigorous safety training in their curricula. Various states strengthened their film permit requirements, particularly regarding filming near potentially hazardous locations like railroad tracks. Jones's death also brought renewed attention to the grueling hours many film crew members face, often leading to dangerous fatigue. Number 4. Halyna Hutchins, Rust's preventable tragedy. Could a cinematographer's death by a prop gun change firearm protocols forever? On October 21, 2021, 42-year-old cinematographer Halyna Hutchins was fatally shot on the set of the Western film, Rust, when actor Alec Baldwin discharged a prop revolver during rehearsal. The gun, which was supposed to be loaded with blanks or dummy rounds, contained a live round. Director Joel Souza was also wounded in the incident that occurred at the Bonanza Creek Ranch in New Mexico. The circumstances leading to the tragedy revealed multiple breakdowns in safety protocols. The film's armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed was relatively inexperienced, dividing her time between armorer duties and assistant prop master responsibilities. The assistant director, Dave Halls, handed Baldwin the weapon after announcing it was a cold gun, meaning it contained no live ammunition. Neither had properly checked the weapon. Investigations later revealed that live ammunition had somehow been mixed with dummy rounds on set, a fundamental safety violation in film production. The fallout was immediate and far-reaching. Production on Rust was suspended indefinitely. Baldwin, who was also a producer on the film, faced intense scrutiny over his role in the accident and the production's safety culture. Criminal investigations began against multiple individuals involved in the production. The incident reopened discussions about the use of real firearms on film sets, with many industry professionals calling for their complete elimination in favor of non-firing replicas and digital effects. In response to Hutchins' death, several productions immediately announced they would no longer use functional firearms on their sets, even with blank ammunition. Major studios began reviewing their weapons policies, with some implementing bans on live firearms. The tragedy also sparked renewed calls for standardization of safety procedures across the industry, regardless of a production's budget or scale. The Rust incident particularly highlighted concerns about low-budget productions potentially cutting corners on safety to save money. Industry unions pushed for stronger safety mandates that couldn't be negotiated away based on a production's financial constraints. Hutchins' death also led to discussions about overworking crew members, as reports emerged of camera crew members walking off the Rust set hours before the shooting, partly due to safety concerns and working conditions. As criminal proceedings continue, the full impact of this tragedy on Hollywood practices is still unfolding, but already many productions have permanently changed how they approach scenes requiring firearms, preferring to add muzzle flashes and sound effects in post-production rather than use weapons capable of firing any type of round on set. Number 3. Joy Harris, Deadpool 2's stunt tragedy. Did you know a professional motorcycle racer died performing her first movie stunt? On August 14, 2017, motorcycle racer Joy S.J. Harris lost her life while performing a stunt for Deadpool 2 in Vancouver, Canada. Harris, who was doubling for actress Zazie Beetz' character Domino, was performing a relatively simple motorcycle sequence when she lost control of the bike, hit a curb, and was thrown through the plate glass window of a building. She died instantly from her injuries. The accident was particularly shocking because Harris was an accomplished professional motorcycle racer, considered the first African-American woman to compete in American Motorcyclist Association races. However, this was her first film as a stunt performer. Investigation revealed she had been asked to perform the stunt without a helmet because the character she was doubling for didn't wear one in the scene. Reports suggested the stunt had been rehearsed successfully multiple times, but conditions on the day of filming had changed. The tragedy exposed concerns about diversity hiring practices in the stunt community. Some industry insiders suggested Harris, while an accomplished motorcyclist, lacked the specific experience needed for film stunts, which required different skills than racing. Others argued the production had appropriately hired a black female stunt performer to double for a black female character, rather than using the once common practice of painting down white stunt performers. In the aftermath, WorkSafe BC, British Columbia's regulatory agency for workplace safety, cited 20th Century Fox for several safety violations, including failure to conduct a risk assessment, failure to ensure Harris was wearing appropriate headgear, and failure to provide adequate supervision. The production company was fined nearly $300,000. The incident prompted several changes in how stunts are approached in major productions. Studios became more cautious about hiring stunt performers based solely on physical resemblance to actors rather than experience. Many productions implemented more rigorous training programs before allowing new stunt performers to execute potentially dangerous sequences. The Deadpool 2 tragedy also accelerated discussions about when computer-generated imagery should replace physical stunts, particularly for sequences involving high speeds or potential for head injuries. The film's credits included a dedication to Harris, but her death raised uncomfortable questions about the balance between authentic representation in stunt casting and ensuring performers have adequate experience for the specific demands of film stunts. It highlighted how even seemingly straightforward stunts can turn deadly when multiple small factors align in unfortunate ways. Number 2, Christopher Dennis, the Superman who showed Hollywood Boulevard's dark side. Can the death of a street performer change how we protect entertainment district workers? On November 2, 2019, Christopher Dennis was found dead in the San Fernando Valley. For over 25 years, he had been known as Hollywood Boulevard Superman, a fixture on the famous tourist street where costumed performers pose for photos with tourists for tips. Dennis, who bore an uncanny resemblance to Christopher Reeve, had fallen on hard times in his final years, experiencing homelessness after his costume and belongings were stolen. Dennis's body was discovered in a clothing donation bin where he had apparently been seeking shelter or attempting to retrieve items. The coroner determined he died from suffocation and the effects of methamphetamine use. His death at age 52 cast a spotlight on the precarious lives of the street performers who have become an integral part of the Hollywood Boulevard experience, but exist in a legal and economic gray area. For decades, costumed performers have populated Hollywood Boulevard, posing for photos with tourists in exchange for tips. These performers, sometimes called characters, operate independently without regular wages, benefits, or protections. Many struggle financially despite working long hours in often uncomfortable costumes. Dennis had been one of the longest-serving and most recognized of these performers, even appearing on Jimmy Kimmel Live multiple times and in a documentary about the Boulevard performers called Confessions of a Superhero. His death prompted the Los Angeles City Council to examine the working conditions of street performers in major tourist areas. New proposals emerged to create a licensing system that would provide some structure and protection for these workers. Advocacy groups pushed for access to shade, water, and rest breaks during hot weather, as many performers wear heavy costumes in the California sun for hours. The tragedy also led to discussions about homelessness in Los Angeles, particularly among those working in the entertainment industry's periphery. Dennis's story, going from a recognized figure who brought joy to tourists to dying alone in a donation bin, highlighted how quickly someone could fall through society's cracks, even in the heart of the entertainment capital. Several charity organizations working with both homeless populations and entertainment workers established programs specifically addressing the needs of street performers, including emergency housing assistance and substance abuse treatment. Dennis's funeral was attended by many fellow costumed performers, several still in their working attire, in a poignant tribute to someone who had dedicated his life to bringing Superman to life for countless tourists. Number 1, Natalie Wood, drowning mystery changes boating safety. Would you get on a boat after drinking with people you were fighting with? On November 29, 1981, three-time Academy Award nominee Natalie Wood drowned near California's Catalina Island while boating on the Splendor with her husband Robert Wagner, actor Christopher Walken, and the boat's captain Dennis Davern. The circumstances surrounding her death remained mysterious and controversial for decades. Wood, who was known to have a fear of dark water, was found floating in the ocean wearing a nightgown, socks, and a down jacket. Initially ruled an accidental drowning, the case suggested Wood had attempted to board a dinghy, slipped, and drowned. However, multiple factors complicated this narrative. The autopsy revealed a blood alcohol level of 0.14%, along with prescription medications in her system. Witnesses from nearby boats reported hearing a woman calling for help that night. Most significantly, passengers on the Splendor confirmed there had been intense arguments earlier in the evening between Wagner and Walken regarding Wood's career. The investigation was reopened in 2011 after Davern publicly stated he had lied to investigators during the initial investigation. He claimed Wagner and Wood had argued fiercely that night, and Wagner had been jealous of Wood's relationship with Walken. In 2013, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office amended Wood's death certificate, changing the manner of death from accidental drowning to drowning and other undetermined factors. In 2018, Wagner was named a person of interest in the case, though he has steadfastly denied any involvement in Wood's death. Beyond the true crime fascination with the case, Wood's death led to significant changes in California's boating safety regulations. The tragedy highlighted the dangers of mixing alcohol consumption with boating activities. California subsequently strengthened its laws regarding boating under the influence, eventually making them comparable to driving under the influence statutes. The incident also led to improved emergency response protocols for the waters around Catalina Island and other popular boating destinations. Coast Guard search procedures were reviewed, with particular attention to nighttime response capabilities. The case emphasized the importance of proper safety equipment on recreational vessels, leading to stricter enforcement of life jacket requirements and emergency communication devices. Perhaps most significantly, Wood's death created greater awareness about the dangers of nighttime boating activities, especially in cold water conditions. Safety educators began emphasizing that even strong swimmers face severe risks from cold water shock and hypothermia, risks that increase dramatically when alcohol is involved. Boating education programs expanded their curriculum to address specific nighttime safety protocols and proper procedures for moving between vessels and dinghies. The mysterious circumstances of her death continue to fascinate the public today, with new books, documentaries, and investigations emerging decades after the event. Yet beyond the celebrity tragedy aspect, Wood's death created lasting changes in how boating safety is approached in California and beyond. Have these Hollywood tragedies actually made the entertainment industry safer, or are we just waiting for the next preventable accident to force more changes? When the cameras stop rolling and the lights dim, who's really responsible for making sure everyone makes it home safely from the dream factory?